Hello, Nikki. Welcome.
Hi, Abby. Yeah, how are you?
Not too bad. It's so much cooler today, so I'm very happy about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Very
it's been ridiculously hot. It's too much. Like, I obviously, being South African, it's like great if you're sat at a swimming pool or a beach, but I can't do it when I have to be in
100%.
an office or travel.
Yeah, seriously. Well, thank you for speaking with me today.
Would you just like to first introduce yourself to our listeners? Tell them a bit about yourself, what you do.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm Nicky Affleck. I run my own sports consultancy business, specializing in strategic growth and partnerships in grassroots sport. I am based in London, but I proudly work with quite a few national and regional clients all over the country.
Lovely. And just like get started, how did you first get into sports? Have you always been passionate about it since a young age, or was it like something you got interested in kind of later on in life?
I think, like most people, my love for sport started from a personal journey. At the age of 5, when I discovered my love for swimming, I would say
Nice.
that this discovery didn't simply happen on its own, though. I had a coach at school that really took the time to listen to me and to get to know me. From my first day, from the first day I gave swimming a go, I gave my heart and soul to it, and it became the place I escaped to. And it was the one thing I knew, whatever I gave to it, it would give me so much more in return.
Yeah.
It turned out that my love for swimming grew stronger and stronger every year, and it was because of the hard work that I put in at a young age that I earned a place on the national squad later on
Oh,
in life.
lovely.
Yeah.
Nice.
I guess I would never have realized kind of what I was capable of without the coach that took the time to kind of get to know me and believe in what I wanted to achieve.
Mhm.
My coach made me feel welcome, really helped me believe that I had something special. And I think it was through that personal journey from that young age that ultimately led me to studying sport at university,
Oh,
and then
nice.
building a career in sport, both in South Africa and in the UK. So yeah, I
Mhm.
would definitely say it happened earlier in life, but it didn't just come naturally. It was because somebody took the time to kind of get to know me. And I think that's so important for us to ensure that children
Definitely.
and young people have that type of experience.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was exactly the same. Like in primary school, I had like quite a lot of teachers who were very passionate about sports. I had friends and family who actually played sports professionally, so like that was quite a big thing for me as well. What
Yeah,
university did you go to?
I went to a Rand Afrikaans University in Johannesburg, South
Oh,
Africa. So
nice.
it's now called University of Johannesburg. But yeah, I grew up in a small mining town outside of Johannesburg, about 100 kilometers outside Joburg,
Oh,
and then
lovely.
I studied my degree at we used to call it RAU, so Rand Afrikaans University.
Oh, very nice. That's
Yeah, I would say it's been such an amazing journey, because actually my parents weren't sporty at all.
really,
Um, yeah, but it was kind of, I think it was that investment of the coach and my school life that brought that love out in me. So I think that's why it's so important that we kind of all have a role to play, not just the
yeah.
parent. But yeah,
I totally agree with that. And obviously, like I read that you worked with the London Youth Games Foundation, and you played a massive role there, delivering sports, delivering opportunities for 125,000 young people to like take part in sports annually. Can you like tell me a bit about what the London Youth Games Foundation is and like how you first got involved?
yeah, absolutely. Gosh, where do I start? I actually got into the London Youth Games because back in 2011, I was working in sports development. It was my first sport development job based in London as
Mm.
kind of a competition manager, working with national governing bodies. And I decided to volunteer at one of their events that they held at Crystal Palace National Sports Centre. And it was through it was absolutely, gosh, it was mind blowing, kind of the scale of it. I think you
Yeah,
realize how important, even for adults, seeing that type of scale and event is so important for young people, especially because they don't often get to see it in that light.
no.
And actually, it was later on that year that a position became available at London Youth Games that I applied for it, and was, of course, successful in securing it. And I built a great career over 8 years.
Wow.
And I can safely say it was probably one of the best chapters of my life. The Games itself has been around for over 40 years. It's supported by all 33 London boroughs. It
Nice.
delivers over 30 different sports. It engages 10,000 volunteers a year. And it's got a solid track record of kind of playing its part in some of the GB's greatest Olympians, Paralympians, and world champions.
It's quite a big thing then.
Yeah, absolutely. And as of yesterday, they actually released an article that 21 of the current Olympians that are taking part in Tokyo have at some point or another been part of the London Youth Games, which is amazing.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I think, I always used to kind of refer to it as an organization or like a movement that's embedded in London. So many young people, so many schools, so many people, youth clubs, youth sports clubs all know about it, and kind of the pinnacle for so many young people in London. It's a great event. It's a great program.
Yeah, that sounds really great. And it's great that obviously there's all that networking within London as well, because obviously that, sports is such a big thing in people's lives. And I think that's really important to kind of like highlight for anyone like listening, and just, especially for young people. I think the earlier we get young people into sports, the better like it kind of plays out for them later on in life as well.
Absolutely.
And like, what were some of the personal wider lessons you kind of learned from doing this work, and how has that impacted you like now personally, and just how you approach your work at the moment?
I think one of my greatest lessons I've learned in my time at the Games is that it sounds like a bit of a cliche, but together ordinary people can achieve extraordinary results. And I think that was never more true than the army of volunteers who kind of joined us week in and week out and gave up their time to deliver the Games, because the Games itself, the foundation, at the very most would have maybe 8 to 10 full-time staff. It wouldn't have any more than that, but the scale of it was always delivered by sort of the amazing volunteers that we have that used to give up their time. I think when I asked an 18-year-old volunteer one day why he kept coming back and giving up his time, he said that the Games gave him a place where he felt like he belonged. And I think that's the real important message, that when sport is delivered right, it brings people together.
100%.
And I think that's one of my greatest personal lessons. I've always loved sport. Of course, we've spoken about my journey through it, but I think working in sport over here in the UK has just got so much huge potential to make such a huge difference. Spending 8 years at the Games in various roles, sort of from very delivery right up until interim chief exec, it gave me invaluable opportunity to not only develop professionally, but it played a huge part in helping me figure out who I was and the kind of person that I wanted to be.
Because that's quite a long time to be working with, like for me at least, that's a long time to be working with like a company or something. So I can imagine you would have seen a lot, learned a lot, and had like quite a lot of amazing experiences.
8 years is a long time, nowadays to spend at one organization, but I think the beauty of it was the possibilities and opportunities that a person does have to grow through it, because a small team can achieve so much. So it was definitely the greatest part of my professional career, for sure.
Because you get to see the company grow as well, and I think that's just like pretty amazing when you get to grow and like see your progress over time with that company. And
absolutely.
And obviously it was with working with the London Youth Games Foundation that this allowed you to do some partnership work with Nike and Sport England. How are these experiences for you, and why do you feel these partnerships are so important? What did you gain from working with them?
One of the most remarkable experiences that I've had working in the United Kingdom is the sports sector is filled with people and organizations wanting to do great things. And one of the things I love most about working in grassroots sport is the opportunity to bring those people together to make a real difference. Working with brands like Nike was life-changing for me, not just on a professional level, but a personal level as well. And not only did I learn a lot through that piece of work, I've formed some really great friendships and professional networks along the way. Working with funding bodies like Sport England and understanding, the difference that as a sector we need to make to young people's lives through sport is just, it really invaluable. I think we've got such a great opportunity to level up, if you like, to make sure that we're all doing the right thing to make a difference, especially after what we've all especially what children have been through in the last 12 to 18 months.
Definitely. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Nike does quite a lot of work partnerships with sport, don't they? So yeah,
they're doing a lot of great work in the space for young people, and their Made to Play initiative is kind of groundbreaking in getting, you know, investment and resource into helping organizations to support kids to move more. So yeah, it's important that as a, you know, as a global world, as a global movement, we all realize that there's an importance there, and it's important for kids to be physically active.
Definitely. And obviously you have like touched on a lot of the benefits that is there for young people, but in terms of like grassroots and community sports, you know, what are the biggest things that you would actually really want to highlight regarding, you know, the impact it has on young people, but also everyone that takes part and like participates?
Oh gosh, I wholeheartedly believe, and I know through sort of personal lived experience, that when you take the time to invest energy and time into people, it will manifest in such a way that empowers that person to be the greatest version of themselves. I have always strived to behave in such a way that makes everybody feel like a somebody, and every adult in sport, whether that be directly or indirectly involved, has a responsibility to make young people feel the same way I was made to feel when I was growing up. And you know, it's important that regardless of being a parent, a friend, a coach, a mentor, that we support young people on kind of their self-discovery journey for their love for activity and sport. And it's important to create that feeling of belonging, and to make them feel that they have a place that accepts them for who they are and who they can be. I would just say we all have a kind of role to play in that, a huge importance to make it different for young people.
Because sports provides, like for me at least personally, like sports provided me with so many different skills, from like teamwork. It's not just the physical benefits, it really is kind of how you interact with others and what you learn and how you grow in your own confidence. And there's just so many amazing things that I think sports can truly bring. And I think again, like as I was saying earlier, like the younger we make that start, the better like it turns out in the long run for society in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we kind of all know, you know, research tells us, you know, we all know as adults the importance of it. And I think I think it's just important that we all kind of collectively take responsibility to change the way things are done for young people.
And for like people listening, they might be like wondering how they can get involved. Possibly some might have time constraints, some might have, you know, a lot of time to spend. You know, how do you reckon you could advise people to get involved in sports?
Oh, there's so many different sort of points of access. It depends if you want to be a player or a coach, or, you know, national governing bodies are a great starting point to get a hold of someone to ask about playing and coaching, but also local clubs. There's so much local delivery that happens. Active partnership network across the country, organizations like, you know, obviously London Youth Games, and there's so much out there. It's just knowing really what you want to do, and kind of if you want to be a player or a coach. But I would say if people have got their time, or even if you don't have time, volunteering, even if it's just a few hours on a weekend every 3 or 4 months, I think it gives back so much to not just yourself, but of course the sector as well.
It really does. And with like volunteering, there is no need to be qualified, as long as you know your DBS checked in. That I think there's so much you can do and give just through that single role itself.
And I think I sort of witnessed that firsthand at the games, because I mean we worked with thousands of volunteers, but it was when you start to see them really embrace that experience, and so many of them have gone on to amazing careers as firefighters. And, you know, we had an internship program. We've got one of them that worked for Tough Mudder over New York, and another one that was with England netball, another one that was with British judo. So you know, people do you do gain really important life skills by being physically active and engaging socially, physically, mentally. I know we all know the importance, and there's so much research out there, and there is so many great parts of the sector that are wanting to make a difference. There is a great movement happening at the moment.
Yeah, and I love that. I think that's so important. And just like to wrap things up, is there anything else that you feel is important to add, or do you have any advice for anyone that's listening, you know, that wants to make a difference in the world of sports?
Yeah, absolutely. I think to wrap up, I think don't wait for someone else to make the change. You know, be that parent or teacher, coach, friend you wish you had when you were growing up. Be that role model you would have wanted to see. And we all have a collective responsibility to make sport representative of the communities that our children and young people are growing up in, and where our communities are built. I think just to stress the importance that across the board, we all have a responsibility to change the perceptions of sport and create opportunities, share knowledge, raise awareness, and just make it more accessible.
Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing to say, actually. I think that really summed it up really well. I think that's so important to say, because it starts with us. We can make a change regardless of who we are, where we come from. Like, just give it a go. That's what you can do.
Absolutely. And I actually think as part of that process, one of our core important roles is to speak to young people, to hear how do they want their activity and sport delivered? What is it that excites them about being physically active? Because the one danger that we do sometimes run into is, as adults, we think we know what children want. Just by the very nature of age ranges, if you like. But I think as we start to move forward, and you know, in the generation that we live in at the moment, it's so important that they have a voice. They need to be able to say what it is that they love to do and what it is that they don't, because we can design all these programs and all of these opportunities, but fundamentally we can't force them into it unless it's something that they've either helped shape or that they believe is the thing that they want to do, and they've been listened to.
Wonderful. Well, that's all I kind of really needed to ask. Thank you for speaking with me today.
Oh, you're so welcome, Abby. Thank you for having me.
It was a really lovely conversation, and hopefully people listening have like really gained a lot out of this. And I think, again, what you said at the end was like really, really nice to like end on. So thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Abby. Thanks so much for having me, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Yes, hopefully it's not too hot again. Fingers crossed.
No, I hope
not. Thank you so much, and I guess I'll speak to you soon.
Great. Thanks so much, Abby. Chat soon.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.